A divided and ignorant people are a weak people. And a weak, divided, and ignorant people are very easy to control. Here's the video in its entirety. Share it, mirror it, copy it, do whatever you have to do to make it as viral as the video that's out there right now, adding to our weakness, our ignorance, and our disunity.
Emotion is good, but if you abandon reason and logic and allow yourself to be swayed by emotion, you'll be about as successful as a swarm of mosquitoes trying to attack a flock of penguins in Antarctica under the water. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like and share it with everybody you know.
There's a hyper-viral video on Facebook that's deceiving a lot of people out there with a barrage of white privilege, black victimhood garbage. People keep sending me this video asking me to comment on it, so here goes. The original video is called Take 2 Steps from Adam Donya's YouTube channel. It was uploaded on September 29th to his channel, and as of the making of this video has about 8,700 views. And the comments are disabled, which is a really good way to shield this video from public criticism. Now, this same video was picked up and re-uploaded by a Facebook page called VT on October 30th. And as of the recording of this video, it's been up for only 4 days and has received over 35 million views. It has over 240,000 likes and has been shared over 730,000 times with more than 25,000 comments. That's pretty stellar for any video. So it obviously struck a nerve that a lot of people are responding positively to and are sharing on a massive scale. VT added subtitles to the video and included a headline which reads, "If someone doesn't understand privilege, show them this video." The implication, of course, is that this video will inform people who watch it what privilege really is. Now, I've never heard of VT, but a cursory glance reveals that it has a global audience of over 19 million people. So not only are they not small time, they have a uniquely popular ability to influence a lot of people. Some might even call that popularity privilege. I don't know. And it's obvious from the views, likes, and shares that it's having a huge impact. I'll play snippets of the video so we can dissect it with logic and reason in a minute, but first, a quick summary. Apparently, this guy named Adam Donya's got a group of young college-age kids together in a field, had them line up like they're gonna race, held up a $100 Federal Reserve note, and before the race even began, had them take 2 steps forward if each of the 8 statements he gave them applied to them, leaving other kids standing at the starting line if the statements did not apply to them. Obviously, the more steps you take toward the finish line before the race begins, the greater your chance of being the one to win the race and grab the Ben Franklin fiat note of debt. If you want to see the videos for yourself in their entirety, I'll leave the links in the description. From the outset, I want to say that if the creator of this video aspires to be a casino owner, he stands a good chance of being very successful at it, because with this production, he couldn't have stacked the deck of personal bias any more in his favor. The only problem with this video is that from start to finish, it's filled with emotionally manipulative, one-sided, virtue signaling, false narrative promoting BS. So let's examine it. Here's the first statement.
Take 2 steps forward if both of your parents are still married.
There's no doubt that strong families hold a society together, and strong, vibrant marriages hold families together. A healthy family unit is the building block of the very fabric of society. This cannot be overstated. But there are so many variables in a marriage and family dynamic that are unique to each family and to each individual within that family. For example, what if your mom and dad did nothing but fight all the time? What if they stayed married but were abusive to you as a child? What if those parents who stayed married lived a lifestyle that actually caused you to be less safe and less privileged than the guy that came from a broken single-parent home? What if that mom and dad were never home because they worked all the time, you never saw them, and they left you to your own devices day in and day out? Or what if your parents ran a meth lab or did things that placed you in constant danger of not only being hurt, but also in danger of being placed in a state-sponsored foster home where you'd be more likely to be abused or even killed? The kids in the field that fit these scenarios would be seen by this myopic statement as privileged. This is a logical fallacy.
Take 2 steps forward if you grew up with a father figure in the home.
What if you had a father figure in the home who was molesting you or beat you up every other day in his drunken stupor? Doesn't matter. You had a father figure. Take 2 steps forward. You are privileged.
Take 2 steps forward if you had access to a private education.
What area are these people in? Where did he pull this sampling of kids? I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, there wasn't this large percentage of any kids where I lived that had access to private education. I don't care what color you were.
Take 2 steps forward if you had access to a free tutor growing up.
Free tutor? What tutor is out there working for free? It really seems like he's reaching here and going out of his way to make stuff up just to put privilege points on the board.
Take 2 steps forward if you've never had to worry about your cell phone being shut off.
Ah, life's necessity. You just gotta have that cell phone. When I was growing up, they didn't even have cell phones. Besides, if the data is correct and these cell phones end up giving you brain cancer, who would be counted as the privileged one then?
Take 2 steps forward if you've never had to help mom or dad with the bills.
Now, I get the spirit of this statement. The implication and assumption is if the kid is helping with the bills, the parents are too poor. But what about the kids whose parents are teaching their grown child personal responsibilities and the realities of life? That things aren't free, and in order to live, you have to work and use the money that you earned to help out. And actually, think about it. This guy's further implying that if the kid had the steadfast character to help his mom and dad pay the bills, he's somehow disadvantaged. It could easily be argued that this determination to take the responsibility to help mom and dad put him at a greater advantage than those who are born with a silver spoon in their mouths, who have no idea what personal responsibility and facing life's challenges is all about.
Take 2 steps forward if it wasn't because of your athletic ability. You don't have to pay for college.
What the hell kind of statement is that? With this statement, he went out of his way to make this unfair. What if it was because of your athletic ability that you didn't have to pay for college? Can't say that though, because that would blow the entire biased narrative he's trying to promote. Let me ask you, if one person was born with a mother and father and a cell phone, but no athletic ability, and another person was born with only a mother, no cell phone, and an amazing athletic ability that would eventually earn him scholarships and multi-million-dollar contracts, which one was more privileged? His statement right here alone exposes this as total BS. And here's his last statement.
Take 2 steps forward if you never wondered where your next meal was going to come from.
After the take 2 steps forward statements, he says this.
I want you guys up here in the front just to turn around and look. Every statement I've made has nothing to do with anything any of you have done. Has nothing to do with decisions you've made. Everything I have said has nothing to do with what you've done. We all know these people up here have a better opportunity to win this $100.
Now keep in mind what he's saying here, because the thread line that weaves its way through the entire narrative is that winning at life equals having the opportunity and being in a position to make money.
Does that mean these people back here can't race? No. We would be foolish to not realize we've been given more opportunity.
He keeps saying we. Who is we? We would be foolish not to realize that we've been given more opportunity. We who? Is he attempting to speak for people other than himself?
We don't want to recognize that we've been given a head start.
There's that we again. In case you haven't noticed by now, his mindset is that of a collectivist, where one man illegitimately takes on the mantle of and speaks for a whole group of people who didn't ask him to speak on their behalf.
But the reality is we have.
There's we again.
There's no excuse. They still got to run their race.
They got to run their race? They who? This guy has done a great job so far of segregating people, not uniting them. It's the whole us versus them trick. We versus they.
You still got to run your race. But whoever wins this $100...
There it is again. Winning the race of life for this guy, the way he's conveying it in this video, is about the opportunities people have or don't have to earn money in life, which he equates as winning or losing a race.
I think it'd be extremely foolish of you not to utilize that and learn more about somebody else's story.
So, Adam's judgment of you is that if you don't use the money you've earned to learn something about someone else's story, you are foolish.
Because the reality is, If this was a fair race and everybody was back on that line, I guarantee you some of these black dudes would smoke all of you.
What in the hell did he just do? He made this whole thing about race, and he did it in hypocrisy. Because if these black dudes, as he calls them, had the ability to smoke all of you, then by his own argumentation, that automatically makes the race unfair. But he calls such a race a fair race. In other words, he could have easily reversed things and said from the very beginning, take 2 steps forward if you have the ability to run a 4.340. Or take 2 steps forward if you could dunk a basketball at age 13. How about this one? Take 2 steps forward if you're deadly with a 3-point shot. Or take 2 steps forward if you're likely to win a free scholarship to a top university because of your athletic ability, instead of having to have your working class moms and dads work their asses off to send you to college. Why didn't he say, take 2 steps forward if you in any way benefited from government subsidies while all these privileged folks had mom and dads who footed the bill for your welfare? But of course, that would shatter the disingenuous narrative. So in his mind, and the way he states it in his video, if some of these black dudes, as he says, has an ability no one else had, this would be a fair race. Even though he just tried to make the case that these, well, let's just say it, white folks have opportunities that give unfair advantages over black folks. Can you even get more racist and biased? Besides, as a side note, one of the guys that never took 2 steps forward is white. Where's his white privilege? We probably can't talk about that. Interesting how he excluded the white guy as someone who might smoke the other white people in a race.
And it's only because you have this big of a head start that you're possibly going to win this race called life.
What exactly does winning this race called life mean for Adam Donius? How is he defining winning? Because all I see at this point is a dude dangling a $100 bill in front of a group of teenagers that don't have the ability to question this guy's racist, divisive, victim card promoting, white shaming agenda and equating winning with making money. And if that's the case, criminals who make a lot of money are absolutely winning in the race called life, according to Adam.
That is a picture of life, ladies and gentlemen.
This is not a picture of life, ladies and gentlemen. This is the perspective of a collectivist racist who cares more about the color of people's skin than the content of their character. A guy who's more interested in promoting a false narrative than proclaiming the truth. A guy who proves by his video that he's more interested in shaming one group of people while he's busy making victims of others. Where are all the kids in wheelchairs? The blind kids, the kids without limbs, or the cancer victims who are struggling to live? Where are all the NBA basketball players who own 5 mansions, have a collection of 25 luxury vehicles, and an obscene amount of gold hanging around their necks? Where are his statistics that the top 20 earning athletes, since he wants to boil this down to making money, are mostly black and Hispanic? He's trying to make people who are privileged from his perspective feel bad, and make the people who weren't as privileged, again from his skewed perspective, feel like they should have been more privileged. This just breeds a generation of people who are discontent and bitter about their current circumstances, rather than taking personal, individual responsibility for their own lives and making the best of what they have right now. Then in the video, they race. After the race is won, he says,
If you didn't learn anything from this activity, you're a fool.
I definitely learned something from this activity. I learned that you can deceive a lot of people with absolute falsehoods as long as you season it with enough emotional appeal and mind-numbing manipulation. The video ends with the scripture verse from 1 John 3:17 through 18, which says, If anyone has this world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does the love of God abide in him? Little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. And there's the coup de grace. The video starts talking about money, it's filled with a race toward riches, and he ends it talking about wealth using a scripture that talks about having this world's goods. So Adam's winning the race of life is most certainly about accumulating wealth. So much for content of character. To buy this video hook, line, and sinker, you have to turn your mind off, let go of logic and reason, let emotion carry you away, and let someone else do your thinking for you. If these kids are disadvantaged to no fault of their own, what's the message? white kids should fall back and make life fair for everybody else. This is just more socialism and collectivism. It's just more victimhood training to teach kids not to take responsibility for their own lives and that nothing is ever their fault so they can claim victimhood and get free stuff. Because hey, the white kids are privileged.